Ciara is a defining artist of thousands pop and R&B. She has a natural charisma and sensuality about her, songs in her prime that could stand alongside her contemporaries Beyonce and Rihanna, and masterful dance moves that are only comparable to some of the greatest dancers to touch the music industry. She had all the makings of a star, so it should come as no surprise that she became one of the stars that towered and rivaled others in her lane with ease. But as times shifted, the hits kept missing, and Ciara struggled to sustain the momentum that had once carried her career. Although the mishaps weren't always in her control, as the numbers kept dropping, it certainly took a toll. But it wasn't always this way. Ciara's rise coincided with changing trends and the unprecedented rise of crunk music. She teamed up with the producer Jazzy Faye, who would later help her get a record deal, and he was a key figure in what would become her signature sound when she first broke out. Yes, Goodies, not My Goodies, but Ciara's Goodies, was her introduction to the world, and it also helped further propel crunk music into pop culture, launching to the top spot in the USA. Ciara recently spoke about how this song was almost given to Britney Spears. Had this record, but not knowing that behind the scenes there was a conversation about the song being potentially taken from me and given to an artist like Britney Spears, who was on the same roster as me. I learned about the story later, but the crazy thing for me is that if I would have known about it then, I would have fought tooth and nail. It was because it's a record that I actually was a part of creating. I was heavily involved in the writing side of it as well. Ultimately, the song went to the right person. Ciara completely owned it with conviction and her effortless cool. Goodies, her debut album released in 2004, was a major hit, with 3 singles from the album reaching the top 3 on the Hot 100, and the album itself eventually moving over 3 million copies. The success of the album earned her the title the Princess of Crunk and B, a title that Ciara has somewhat expressed some disdain for. And I think that stems from her proving that she's also done stuff outside of that genre and doesn't want her music only to be tied to that era. And I think that's fair, but I also think having an honorific music title in such a prolific thousands genre for helping it reach a summit is not such a nefarious thing either. Ciara defines this era in popular culture. With her debut, she branded herself as a pop and R&B entertainer. Ciara is a phenomenal dancer, one of the best pop star dancers to ever do it. She has a light, smooth, and airy tone and will utilize her voice more as an instrument to melt into her beats rather than outshine them. Not to be confused with insignificant, Ciara's texture and tone is very malleable and essential for her style of music. She became a commodity and one of the top players in the world of R&B pop stars off her debut album alone. With her second album, The Evolution, she sought to move in a more diverse direction. Her crunk roots still intact, but expanding or combining crunk with other styles. For example, the lead single Get Up, which is a minimalist crunk electro track with sleek vocals, perfectly bridging the gap between pop and crunk. Get Up recalls the genre-bending production present on Aaliyah's 2000 hit Try Again. Other songs like Promise and Can't Leave 'Em Alone show Ciara taking a leap into slow jams. But things became a bit muddy stepping into Ciara's third album. She abandoned her startup team with Jazzy Faye and began going in a completely different musical direction. Was it a bit too soon? I don't necessarily think so. A lot of stars like Beyonce and Rihanna went the super Euro pop direction and then garnered even more success. In Ciara's case, I believe it was some of the music, the terrible rollout, and changing trends that led to this album being mishandled. Fantasy Ride, like her rise to fame, coincided with changing trends. Crunk music, the sound Ciara was known for and had made a name for herself in, was on a decline from popular music, and electro and dance music was coming in, and you gradually see the rise of stars like Gaga, Britney, Rihanna, and Beyonce who were turning to the Euro and dance pop sound, and it eventually became the zeitgeist of the late thousands and early 2010s. Some might say Ciara was meant for crunk music, and was only meant to last for that moment in time, which might explain why Ciara has expressed her dislike of the honorific music title that she was given over that genre. Not only the changing trends, but Fantasy Rider was leaked, it had repeated delays, the album shifted through singles struggling to find a smash hit like her previous albums until Love, Sex, and Magic with Justin Timberlake, which went on to become a top 10 hit and allowed the album to be released in 2009, 3 years after her second album. The album was way more pop and not nearly as sticky as her prior material. The album debuted at number 3 and became her lowest selling album during that time. It's also worth noting that at this time in music, the industry was moving in a digital direction, and a lot of the artists struggled to find their footing. Also at this point in time, labels were doing a ton of budget cuts, and a bunch of R&B artists were caught in the abyss, from failed promotional efforts to artists being dropped from their labels. Artists like Amiri, Christina Milian were tossed to the side, and even Rihanna herself almost fell victim to it, until Umbrella took the world by storm. I think it's fair to assume Ciara was also affected by this, especially leading up to her next album. Basic Instinct was the final blow in the tumultuous period in Ciara's career. Although attempting to keep the album confidential until release, it was also leaked and experienced many delays. There was one moderate hit from the album titled Ride, which is noted for its steamy video that was subsequently banned from BET. And the sales for the album were dismal, debuting at number 44 on the Hot 200 with only 37,000 copies sold first week, marking her first album to not debut in the top 3. Ciara eventually went public with the lack of label support for this album. I've tried to be a team player with the label only to have compromised what I truly believed. A release would allow me to be creative with people who care and understand me as an artist. It is true that I have asked and I pray that my label will release me. I've had some great times and success with my label, but it's at the point where I feel like we don't share the same views on who I am as an artist. The past 2 albums have been frustrating for me. I do understand that some labels are not financially supporting their artists, and I have become one of them. Ciara had to come out of her own pocket to promote the album. The radio reps told me my label didn't want the song played, talking about her single Gimme Dat. So at this point, she became a victim of label politics. The singer had somewhat of a career comeback with her self-titled 2013 release, after signing to Epic Records. The album achieved a great amount of success amongst R&B fans, most notably the single Body Party, which placed in the top 30, while the album debuted at number 2, a significant improvement from her previous release. Ciara continued this trend with Jackie in 2013. Music eventually became her secondary appeal. She became a socialite, frequently hosting, performing, and appearing on award shows. She also signed a major modeling contract, embraced motherhood, married star football player Russell Wilson, and became an independent artist, re-emerging in 2018 with a viral hit Level Up, and eventually an album titled Beauty Marks. Ciara may not have reached mega superstardom, but ultimately her career is nothing to scoff at. Sure, if her label prioritized her, she could have had greater success, but she lived the life of a slightly more than average pop star, and moved on to different things. For what it's worth, acts like Normani and Tinashe also have some Ciara influence on their artistry, and she remains a respected figure, especially when it comes to Southern music, being that crunk music was such a massive moment and originated from the South. Ciara also still pops up with a hit every now and then, even though it doesn't appear to be her main focus anymore, and she still performs as great as ever.